You did everything right. You studied hard, you got the job, you got the raise. And yet, every month, the money runs out before the month does. Not because you're careless, not because you're bad with money, but because the number in your head, the one that was supposed to fix everything, was never the real number. And nobody told you that. Welcome to Aria Invest. This channel exists for one reason, to help you understand how money actually works. Not what to buy, not what to invest in, just clarity. If you're 34 or 35 right now, you probably expected to feel more settled by now, more secure, more in control. And if you don't, you're not alone, and you're not failing. You're just working with a version of your income that was never fully accurate to begin with. Let's talk about that. Here's where it starts. When you were 24, you imagined what $80,000 a year would feel like. Maybe it was $90,000, maybe $100,000. Whatever that number was, it felt like an arrival. It felt like a breathing room. Now you're earning close to that number. Maybe you're past it, and it doesn't feel like a rival at all. That gap between what you imagined and what you actually feel has a name. It's called income perception, and it's one of the most quietly damaging forces in personal finance. Here's how it works. When you picture a salary, your brain pictures the full number, $85,000, clean, round, significant. But that's not the number that hits your bank account. After federal tax, state tax, Social Security, Medicare, and health insurance premiums, that $85,000 becomes somewhere around $58,000 to $62,000, depending on where you live. That's the real number. That's what you actually have to work with. But your lifestyle, your rent, your car payment, your subscriptions, your student loans, those were built around perception, not the reality. And that's where the gap lives. Think about the last time you got a raise. There was a moment, maybe a few days, where it felt like things were going to change, like there was finally going to be some space. And then the month moved forward, and the space quietly disappeared. That's not a discipline problem. That's a perception problem. Because the raise you received looked bigger on paper than it did in your account, and by the time it arrived, your expenses had already grown to meet it. This pattern has a second layer, and it's more subtle. When your income goes up, your reference point shifts. You stop comparing yourself to where you were. You start comparing yourself to where you feel you should be. A $65,000 earner who gets to $85,000 doesn't feel like someone who just got a $20,000 raise. They feel like someone who finally reached the starting line. And once you feel like you've reached the starting line, you start spending like it. A slightly nicer apartment, a newer car, dinners that cost a little more, trips that feel earned, clothes that match the version of yourself you now feel you've become. None of these decisions feel reckless. Every single one feels reasonable, even responsible, because you earned it. But collectively, those decisions consume the raise before it ever becomes financial progress. This is lifestyle inflation, and it doesn't happen because people are irresponsible. It happens because people are human. Here's a simple way to see it. Imagine two people. Both earn $85,000. Both live in the same city. Person A spends based on their take-home, around $5,000 a month after taxes. They build a life that fits inside that number. Person B spends based on the feeling of $85,000 a year. They make decisions that feel proportional to that number. Their rent is a little higher, their car payment is a little higher, their credit card balance grows slowly but steadily. From the outside, they look identical. Same income, same lifestyle, same social circle. But one of them is quietly building a gap, month by month, decision by decision. That gap is the difference between income perception and financial reality. There's one more layer to this, and it might be the most important one. At 34 or 35, you're not just managing your own expectations, you're managing the expectations of the life stage you're in. Some of your friends are buying homes, some are getting married, some are having kids, some are traveling in ways that feel effortless. And whether you're aware of it or not, those signals affect your spending. Not because you're jealous, but because your brain is wired to calibrate what's normal based on what it sees around you. When everyone around you is upgrading, staying the same feels like falling behind. So you upgrade too, not dramatically, just subtly, just enough to feel like you're keeping pace. And every subtle upgrade pulls a little more distance between the number you earn and the number that actually stays. This is why income alone doesn't build financial stability. Perception does, and perception is shaped by comparison, expectation, and the version of your life you feel you're supposed to be living. Here's what changes when you understand this. You stop looking at your income as the problem. You start to see that the real variable isn't the number at the top of your paycheck. It's the gap between what you think you have and what you actually have. The person living paycheck to paycheck on $85,000 and the person who felt stuck on $55,000 10 years ago are often making the same mistake. They're both spending the income they imagined instead of the income that actually arrived. Closing that gap doesn't require sacrifice. It doesn't require discipline. It requires accuracy. It requires seeing your money clearly, not the number on your offer letter, not the number that felt like a rival, the real number, the one that shows up in your account, the one that has to cover everything. When you start from that number, everything changes, not because you have more, but because you finally know what you're actually working with. That's not a restriction, that's clarity. And clarity is where financial stability actually begins. If this made something click for you, stay with this channel. We don't give advice here. We don't tell you what to do with your money. We just explain how money actually behaves and why smart, capable people still feel stuck. If that's what you've been looking for, subscribe. We'll keep going deeper. Arya Invest. Understand money. Think long term.